Okay, so today we're going to ask the main question, is AI a bubble? And we're going to compare it to the two biggest bubbles in history. One was the rail bubble between 1840 and 1847, and the dot-com bubble at the end of the 1990s. So let's see what we've got. So the first one is excessive valuations. Were they excessive? Now, we've got about, the big seven represents about 32% of the S&P. Nvidia's 5 trillion, Microsoft is 4 trillion, great. In the dot-com era, we had also crazy companies that never made a penny worth like $1 billion, and AOL, which was your browser, bought out massive Time Warner, the conglomerate. So we did have huge valuations. But the number one would be the railway. The railway, at its peak, 73% of the UK stock market was just railway stocks. So this is 32% on AI, this is 73%, and this, even during the dot-com bubble, it was just 37% of the S&P. It was actually a lot of the NASDAQ, and that's why it crashed 80% when it did crash, which is massive, but that NASDAQ was a specific tech stock exchange. But looking at the broader market, it wasn't as impactful, and AI is also much less impactful because it's only limited to a few companies. All the others were thousands of dot-coms and hundreds of rail companies. So that's why it's different. Next. So, as I said, so excessive valuations, much less so for AI. Next. Overpriced hardware. Now, with railways, you bought the rail for the price of the rail. For the dot-com, it was that dirt cheap to buy, websites. You just said, pets.com will sell a product that will make losses on every sale, and that's it. It didn't cost much to set up that website. But with AI, it is extremely expensive, right? It is $10 million per Nvidia chip. It is data centers that cost billions. It's electricity that has to be paid very, very expensively. It's technicians that are earning millions. It is very, very expensive. And so for this, they are probably the most overpriced hardware of all. Next, infrastructure build. To lay those tracks for the railway took a long time, very expensive, huge amount of costs. For the internet, much less. No, very, very little, right? So infrastructure build, it didn't take that much infrastructure, so actually that goes to no. But for AI, it's a huge infrastructure build because of these costs, these data centers and the language models and, the teams you have to do it. It is expensive. Is it as expensive as a railway? No. The dot-com was virtually zero. So regarding infrastructure build, it is very expensive, but it is nowhere near the rails. Okay, next one, profitable. Is it profitable? So the dot-coms at the time were not profitable at all, right? With the railway, they were partially profitable, but the problem was they were laying 3 tracks to nowhere, to the same place. So you had like London to Birmingham, 3 tracks. It was ridiculous. You had tracks going for no reason to places that didn't need a railway station. So it was way too much overbuild and too stupid. So that wasn't total stupidity, but the ones that did go to the right places did make money. AI is not profitable. ChatGPT, OpenAI, only made $13 billion of sales last year, and this year it's not going to go up that much more. It's not. It's going up to 300. It's not even going up to 30. It's really not making that much money, and that's the number one. So imagine the rest. And this is also when they're giving out free and stuff. Imagine when they start saying you have to pay for stuff. Well, people just be like, well, Google kind of does the same. It's not as good maybe, but we'll just go with Google. It's not that important. People are not so dedicated to that model. I can't see where the profit are, to be honest. And so I think with profitability, I think AI is going to suffer a huge amount there. That's where their problem is. Fake valuations. So fake valuations. I mean, these companies, Nvidia is not worth 5 trillion. What's it called? Microsoft isn't worth 4 trillion. The reason is because we've got this as well. Circular investing, both go together. The others never had it, by the way. They had real valuations, but again, it was stupid for the internet. Oh, you've got a dot-com, so it's worth 2 billion. That was stupid. So actually, I'm going to say that's a tick there, actually. Fake valuation was true with the dot-com. Also with the rail, stupid. But this is circular investing, meaning what happens at the moment, Nvidia invests 100 billion in Microsoft. Microsoft goes, takes 100 billion and buys 100 billion of Nvidia chips. So the Nvidia chips aren't really worth 10 million a chip. But if you've just been given 100 billion investment and you give it back, each one raises their valuation. And this is now happening every day. We did it with AMD as well. Nvidia went and took a 10% chunk, OpenAI, into AMD, and AMD gets to use OpenAI and be invested in their journey. And all of them are invested in each other. Microsoft is in ChatGPT, so is Google. Google is in Nvidia. Everyone's with each other, inflating each other's valuations. As we saw with Oracle, just one word about ChatGPT and Oracle, and the share price went up 20% over nothing, over fake valuations. Again, we're going to buy 20 billion of Oracle servers. Yeah, how are you going to pay for that? Well, we're giving you $20 billion. It's just the most stupid thing you've ever seen. And it just inflates the valuation. So it's basically the tulip bubble, the original bubble, the first ever bubble, which was a tulip bubble where each tulip was worth $200,000, right? It's a flower, okay, it dies. As I was saying, so the tulip mania made all these tulips really, really expensive, but really they're worthless. And so that bidded up the price, and it made it go up and up and up and up, and each one was bidding up the price of something that is essentially worthless. And in the end, it popped. When the Ponzi stops, when you can't put any more money, when the last guy holding that tulip is $200,000 and cannot sell it for $201,000, then the whole thing collapses because it's not even worth $1, right? And that's what's going to happen here. Next, high GDP. So how much was the impact of GDP? For the railway? Huge amount of spending, huge amount of workers, huge amount of employment, massive. .com, limited, but because there wasn't, again, as I said, there wasn't that kind of spending. It was very easy to set up the internet. It's not really anything was going on. It was just crazy valuations for hope, right? So there wasn't much there. Now for AI, they said in last quarter's 3.8% US GDP, that between 1.5% and 2.5% of that increase was simply due to AI spending. So the US growth story is essentially due to AI, and it's massive spending on all these things. Once that pops and once it goes, and once you've got too many data centers, which they do have, and once you have bought these stupid chips from Nvidia that last for 6 months and then go in the bin, once you've realized all this is a waste, then that goes. And so that high GDP will go down. Obviously, we'll be left with the data centers. Obviously, we'll be left with the knowledge and the AI tools. And so that is the benefit. Just like the rail, when it crashed, most of the lines, were cancelled, but the infrastructure was there to allow for the industrial revolution. And the internet as well. Okay, thousands of these .coms were pointless and stupid, but we were left with, in the end, the Googles, the Amazons, that would change our world. And so with AI, there will be one winner, probably ChatGPT, and all the rest will just be total waste. No one will use them. They will have wasted money on data centers and whatever, but they will be used by someone else eventually. And so that's the point. So we are in a period of, it's a huge bubble, mad excess. This is standard. This is what happens all the time with new tech. When radios came out, which caused a Great Depression, that was the Great Depression. Stock boom was due to radios. Oh, they're the big next thing. Okay, they are, but they're not that big. That's the point. They're not that impactful. And in the end, the price goes all the way down, right? And AI, currently doesn't even make any money. Its revenues are very, very negligible. I'm not talking profit. Obviously, profit, no one cares. But I'm saying revenue. Actually charging, I don't know, $2 for advanced ChatGPT features, no one wants. It's costing them $200,000 to give you those features. You can't even pay $2. That is a big, big problem with AI, right? Only a few people want to pay that amount, and that's their problem. So yes, it will change it, but is it as crazy changes as 5 trillion Nvidia? No. As crazy as Oracle going up 20% because of a stupid, they're doing something with AI? No, right? So that's where we are. Let me know what the thoughts are in the comments, and like and subscribe. Thank you very much.